Okay, so to start off, we'll go through the overview of the business model canvas. There'll be a link at the bottom of this video of the business model canvas, which you can download and complete as we go along with the pitch for funding and the business model canvas. What you'll see in front of you, it'll look something like this with a little bit of square blocks or rectangular blocks with headings inside on where to put each individual part or segment. Now, if you go through, I always ask if you want to go through it and look at the headings, you'll notice you've got key resources, key activities, value proposition, customer relationships, and customer segments. And you'll see a number next to each one. Now, the number is some people's view of what is most important or where to start, what's the most important starting step. And I always ask the audience, which is the most important starting step? Will it be value proposition? Will it be customer relationships? Will it be the resources you have? And that's the conversation. That's how I normally start the business model canvas training. Now, I'd like to ask you the same thing, although we're not live. I'd like to ask you the same thing. You could maybe write it down and write down what you think is the most important of these segments. Is it the revenue? Is it the key resources? Although we know all of it is important, what comes first? What do you think is the most important when it comes to writing your business model and understanding your business model when you're starting as a startup or when you want to grow your business? So you could choose. Most often I get the value proposition as number one, key resources as number two, and then I get customer segments. Now obviously in the beginning it might not make much sense because you don't know what each of these are. I will be going through it very briefly of which each of these segments are, so you could have a better understanding what you think is most important. So for key resources, without going into too much detail, which we'll go into later, that's the resources that you have in your business and the resources which you will need in the future to grow your business. The key activities would be all the operating items or operating tasks that you do in order to sustain your business. The daily tasks that you do. The value proposition is the value that you add or the need that you're addressing to your client or to your market space. The customer relationships, that could be seen as the marketing, but beyond the marketing is how you relate to your customers. How do you build those relationships? How do you start those relationships? How do you maintain those relationships? And how do you sustain those relationships? So it's either finding those relationships, starting them and maintaining them, and then growing them. The customer segments, this is the market segments or the customers that you would need and the ones that you are servicing. These are the people that you're trying to attract. The channels is the different mediums that you use and the different ways in which you get your product from point A, which is yourself, where you're at as a business, to where your customers are. Those are the channels that you'll be using. Your key partners. Best way to start off with key partners is to think of your suppliers, but it goes beyond your suppliers because it's actually partnership agreements that you'll be working with your suppliers and beyond. I'll go into more detail regarding that. Then you've got the financials. So above all of the expenditure and revenue, that's more your qualitative factors. That's items that's not number based. That's in effect your business on the quality you provide. That's all the thinking stuff. That's all the IQ, I call it emotional intelligence type of items that you have influence over. You don't have to be a financial advisor to understand all of that mainly. But the bottom part is concentrated mainly on your finances or solely on your finances, expenditure and revenue. And this will be influenced by everything on top, which is the qualitative factors. So if your qualitative factors and the things on top of your business model canvas is not 100% correct, or if there's a flaw in some of the thinking, or there's wrong assumptions, it's going to affect your expenditure and it's going to affect your revenue. So the purpose of the revenue expenditures is all the things on top, how does it affect your bottom line? And I'll be explaining that in more detail. So going back to my first question, what do you think is the most important of all of these segments? 9 in all. Did you choose customer segment? Did you choose value proposition? Or did you choose the key resources? Those are the three most common. I will stop and I'll say that if you chose customer segments, according to my view and my opinion, you are correct. And the reason why is your customers is what's going to drive your revenue. The people that actually need your service are able to buy that service and product. That is what's going to create your business and actually sustain your business. Because if you have resources, and you can have the best resources in the world, if you don't have a value that can drive that resource and you don't have a market to take it to, you don't have a business. You just got some great resource that you maybe enjoy or very sentimental about, but it is not going to drive your revenue. You can have a good value proposition, you can be the best skilled person, you can have the best product, but if it's not going to help anyone, or if no one's going to be interested in it, it's not going to serve the market, it's not going to help anyone, you're not going to have a business. So the most important starting point for your business on where to start is to ask yourself from the beginning, if you have the value, or you thought of the great idea, or you got some resource that you are able to provide, ask yourself, is there a market for it? Is there a customer for it? And we will go into more detail in the next video when we start off with customer segments. I'll go into detail on how to find your customer segment, how to define it, and why it's important to define it, and how to deep dive into the customer segment so that you can have a customer segment that is more predictable. Thank you.